Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. And today, we are here. You knew I was going to react to this. You knew I had to. I haven't even watched the whole thing. I watched a little tiny bit, but this girl definitely stirred some stuff up in the fatosphere and in the anti-FAOsphere, and I definitely needed to touch upon this. Of course. I should be the albatross, but I don't want to put that shirt on. It's probably so dusty. I would be like coughing up a lung the entire time. So we will settle for the witch, even though we're never settling for the witch. Because what are we here to do? We're here to reiterate. You can keep the weight off. You sure can. You can. Let's go ahead and listen to this. I haven't heard the whole thing. I don't even know how long it is. I'm just going to play the whole thing through, and then I'll react to it piece by piece.
Do this, but your before and after will not save you from being fat. I think the rise of Ozempic has made everyone so brazen and bold to talk about weight loss in such a fatphobic way. Listen, personally, I don't think it's my business, nor do I care what you do with your body and if you lose or you gain weight. But I think posting about it is damaging for you and for the people who are looking at it. I try to understand why, and then I try to put myself in your shoes. And when I look at it from the grand scheme of things, from the big general perspective, it makes sense. Of course you want to post your before and after photo. Many see it as a notable accomplishment. So of course you're posting about your weight loss. It makes sense, right? And I don't blame you. I think that wanting to be part of this thinness club is something that society is pushing us all into. And then it turns to be that maybe one of the reasons that you post this is to inspire other fat people to lose weight. But then that's where you lose me, because I thought this whole process was for you. I don't know what the point of posting it is. We can see it. We see you have gotten into a smaller body now. What ends up happening and what you're showcasing is that you went from being the oppressed to being the oppressor. And you're okay with that. Now here's the kicker. Statistically, proven by science, not by me, so don't get mad at me, you will gain the weight back in 2 to 5 years.
Oh my God.
Now I've met a lot of friends who have gotten multiple surgeries and have done things to lose weight. And I met them years ago, and now they're back to their original weight, or some of them are probably a little bit even bigger than they were before. Now you find yourself being back into the same body that you hated before, the one that you were claiming was the worst version of you. And I'm not here to shame or to scold anyone. I think that it's a reasonable thing to want to be part of this thinness club, because society has made this the ideal place to be. We all think that thinness is where we're going to achieve self-love and careers and friendships and love, partners. And of course we all believe that, you know, it's the long going myth of what thinness will bring to you. But I think it's more important for you to be at peace with yourself. You're a member of the Thin Club now, but remember that your membership can be revoked at any moment, and it'll push you back to the end of the line where you began, and the vicious cycle continues. I know this is a heavy topic, but I have spoken a lot more about this in depth in an essay on my Substack, All Things Fat with Jessica Guitars. So if you want to talk more about this and you want to get my full opinions on this topic, go check out that essay. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
I have to say it. I'm going to just say it once. Toxic ritualistic reinforcement. This is part of what it looks like, okay? What is that? It's externalization of a problem onto other people, and especially people who have the same problem. I have to speak kind of codedly because you want to upset that person to get them to relapse. That's basically what it is. Why? Because you need them to in order to reinforce yourself. It's always selfish. Always remember that. Always remember. I'm going to do a video fully about the reinforcement aspect and the external aspect of this stuff pretty soon. I'm planning on publishing that sometime in June. I'm working on it. Like when I did my video in the description below where I talk about what are toxic ritualistic behaviors, I'm going to do a similar video to try to offer my perspective on how to deal with the interpersonal aspects, as I've dealt with it a lot in the mids, aka mid-size. I call it the mids. I watched The Silo this year. Yes, I had a sci-fi girly pop moment. The point is, she's trying to get other people to slip or to relapse. That's basically what it is. It's very serious, actually, what she's doing. It's disgusting. We're going to cover it piece by piece, though. So let's go.
Don't get mad at me when I tell you this, but your before and after will not save you from being fat again.
So, what would save you from being fat again? It would be continuing not to engage in certain behaviors. It would be continuing to care about your health and continuing to do healthy behaviors. And in many cases, looking at how many calories you're eating, basically, and making sure that it's an appropriate amount. It's not that complicated, but apparently within this world, it is just crazy. We have to ignore caloric realism. That's step one of buying into what she's saying. So if you have an understanding that calories do affect your size, if you have an understanding of caloric realism, then you will be okay. That's the first thing I'm going to say. It basically kills the rest of her video, but let's go ahead and tear it up.
I think the rise of Ozempic has made everyone so brazen and bold to talk about weight loss in such a fatphobic way.
So I talk about how people use Ozempic as a weapon very often. I've often talked about it. There are people who will use it that are, attacking fat people with it, with Ozempic. But there are also people like this who will use Ozempic to push this idea that weight loss is impossible without it, that it cannot happen. So just because Ozempic is here, now all of a sudden weight loss is possible. That's kind of a way of manipulatively framing the discussion, which is not rooted in reality whatsoever. People lost weight long before Ozempic. It's not real. It's not real. What she's saying is not real. It's the framing of it, though. It's very manipulative. And that is what I call using Ozempic as a weapon, which I cannot stand. I can't stand it when anybody does it. But Lord knows, I especially can't when a fat activist does.
Listen, personally, I don't think it's my business, nor do I care what you do.
Then you need to just shut up. Then get off. Don't say anything else. Bye. Okay. Oh, no, wait, you do think it's your business. Don't lie. She's flat out lying to you. That's a lie. If she didn't believe it was her business, then she wouldn't be saying this, period. There'd be nothing to say. Nothing. Because she's making it about you. She's not making it about herself or fat people or this or that. There are ways to talk about this where it wouldn't be as accusatory and judgmental and at you as what she's doing. But that's what she's doing.
Do with your body and if you lose or you gain weight. But I think posting about...
But shut up about it, and I don't ever want to hear about it, and I don't ever want to see it, because I need to live in my delusion. And I don't give a fuck about what you're doing. I don't care how you feel. I don't care about your life. I don't care about your sense of accomplishment. I don't care about anything. All I care about is myself and my issues. That's basically what she's saying. That's what she's trying to say here.
About it is that
I want you to shut up.
Damaging for you.
It's not damaging for you. That's stupid.
And for the people who are looking at it.
It's damaging for her delusion. That's what's damaging.
I try to understand why, and then...
I love this person. Quite frankly, if you don't care, don't speak on it. You do care. Yes. I agree. I agree, Mariah.
I try to put myself in your shoes. And when I look at it from the grand scheme...
Do you? Do you actually? I don't think you do.
...of things, from the big general perspective, it makes sense. Of course you want to post your before and after photo. Many see it as a notable accomplishment. So of course you're posting about your weight loss. It makes sense, right? And I don't blame you. I think that wanting to be part of this thinness club is something that society is pushing us all into. And then
So this is another reinforcement. Within the toxic ritualistic world, thinness is pedestalized as well as demonized, especially on the binge side. I do have to talk about it. I was wondering if I could talk about it a little less in this, but it's just so relevant. So thinness has to do with, like I said, it's a pedestalization. So she's going to get into later how she talks about, oh, the pedestal is, like, she'll talk about, you have this in your life, you have that in your life, you have that in your life, all this list of stuff. These are all B followed by E followed by D myths about thinness, often from a perspective of not having experienced it, because there's certain issues that lend towards you being bigger, which she would never want to admit. But that's a case. That's the truth. How do I know you got it? Because you're spouting this. So at the very least, you believe this. You. Or you're parroting somebody who does. Either way, it's crap.
then it turns to be that maybe one of the reasons that you post this is to inspire other fat people to lose weight. But then that's where you lose me.
Oh, of course. Because they're not reinforcing. They're not.
Because I thought this whole process was for you.
No, not for me. I've been very upfront that I'm doing this activistically. What would she say to me? What are you going to say to me, huh? No, I never said it was just about me. I think what you're saying here is just about you. I never said it was. I swear, if there was ever like blood sports or whatever within FA, they would never have the guts to talk to me. Because what are they going to say? They don't have anything to say. No, it wasn't ever just about me. I can be an activist too. Oh, I don't sit here and act like, oh, I don't care. I don't care what you do. I don't say that. That's not true. I do care. I don't want you to engage in these behaviors that almost led me to an early grave. I don't want you to do it. I don't want you to be a part of this movement. I don't want you to perpetuate this movement. I don't want this to take over all of society. I don't want this to take over institutions. I don't want this messaging that is false and rooted in pathology to take over everything. No, it's a no for me.
I don't know what the point of posting it is. We can
Okay, well, I think I cleared that up.
see it. We see you have gotten into a smaller body now. What ends up happening and what you're showcasing is that you went from being the oppressed to being the oppressor.
So this is something that comes up a lot within the toxic ritualistic, as I said, because of the pedestalization of thinness. So people within this problem, they are so kind of delusional about being thin that they almost don't see thin people as people. So if you've been a thin person and somebody who's fat or very big acts really, really bizarre around you, this is why. It's because they pedestalize you. And so basically what she is trying to communicate to other people who have the problem, remember, this is directly weaponized and pointed at people who struggle with this issue. She's not speaking to Gen Pop. She's speaking to people that have this problem. So what she's saying is that feeling of shame or that feeling of comparison or that feeling that you feel around thin people, you will now do that to other people. And she calls it oppression. That's just her buzzword term for it. But what it is shame or comparison or jealousy or these types of things. That pedestalization that you have done towards thin people will now be happening towards you. So you become the evil one, or you become the queen, or you become this. You become the powerful one, and you're wielding that power over others. This is not convincing to the general population. Most people hear this and think that she sounds so stupid. But to somebody who's in the problem or who's trying to get out, this may be convincing to them because they fear that. You think of yourself that way. You think of yourself as downtrodden, and you obsess over any little thing about your weight, about how you've been treated, or any of these things at all. You look at every single comparison. You will be totally blind. So they'll look at, well, in this situation, a thin person was treated better than me, but they'll ignore anything that doesn't line up with that. You have to remember, for people who do not have this problem, you need to remember that this is not rational. This is a mental illness. This is delusional. I know it's really uncomfortable for people to hear that people are delusional, but you have to be in order to do this. You do, because it's so obviously false that you have to be delusional in order to believe these things and in order to behave in this way around consumption. It's not real. But that's what she's touching upon. So she says that, and people who have heard it, for you guys who have, I don't know why, I just got the image of a tracker jacker or whatever they're called in the Hunger Games. Those weird wasp things that like stab people in the Hunger Games, or sting them, I mean. That's basically what she's trying to shoot out at people that have this problem, which is called reinforcement. I call it toxic ritualistic reinforcement. Because what is she doing? She's speaking to people that have the problem to specifically drag them down into relapse. And remember, this can happen all across the spectrum. This can happen on the reductive side as well. People don't play nice when they're in it. It's always about their problem and them. Remember, it always comes from a selfish place. She's being completely selfish with this video. Absolutely selfish.
And you're okay with that. Now, here's the kicker. Statistically, proven by science, not by me, so don't get mad at me.
That's not the way that science works. Just saying.
You will gain the weight back in 2 to 5 years.
Will? You should be saying may, might, etc. Those words are too strong. I don't know if she went to college, but I did, and they tell you not to say things like that because, especially within statistics, which is a soft science, I'm sorry, it is, especially within psychology and stuff, which I studied psychology, it's a soft science. So all you can really look at most of the time is a correlation, not a causation. And correlation is not causation, which basically means that there can be a multitude of reasons why this occurs. I can offer you an explanation because a lot of those people in those studies, they probably had B followed by E followed by D, which there is a reductive part of that issue. Therefore, they gain the weight back. It's a part of a cycle. But they need to do a study again, but take out and test for and get rid of people out of the study who have this problem. I guarantee you, if you are not within this issue anymore, if you leave it, if you stop it, you will be able to keep the weight off, especially if you have that problem. Now, there may be other hormonal issues, but they can all be treated. In most cases, people who have those issues that are toxically ritualistic, they will not get them treated because those issues allow them to consume more. It's really challenging to talk about this on YouTube. I really wish it wasn't, and I'm sorry, but it is hard to talk about because I have to kind of dance around it. So I hope that you catch what I'm saying. If you don't, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I wish I could. Anyways.
Now, I've met a lot of friends who have gotten multiple surgeries
And how many people who have never gained the weight back? Have you looked at everybody who's gotten these surgeries? Have you looked at every single person that's lost weight? Because I know plenty of people who have lost weight and kept it off. Oh, I'm not supposed to be able to out-anecdote your anecdote. Oh, no. Oh, I'm sorry. There's plenty of people in my comments, too, who have kept the weight off, too. It's what you're paying attention to. Look around. There's a whole world out there.
Have done things to lose weight, and I met them years ago, and now they're back to their original weight, or some of them are probably a little bit even bigger than they were before. Now you find yourself.
And who are the ones that haven't? Do you not talk to them anymore? Does something happen? Or are you just completely ignoring their existence? Or do you see somebody who's thin and automatically assume they never have been bigger? I think it's that one. I think that happens.
Being back into the same body that you hated before, the one that you were claiming was the worst version of you.
So I don't think it's good to hate your body. I would not suggest that. That's a part of the toxic ritualistic cycle. So in fact, I always say not to. I always say to be neutral, or to honestly just stop thinking about it, which can sound like, to somebody who's in it, I get it. I get it. I'm not going to reinforce your stuff here. I say it very clearly. It's not going to happen on this channel. Stop thinking about it. Period. That's the biggest thing, is just to stop thinking about it all the time. Just stop. Like, really think about how much you're thinking about it, because people who don't have these issues, they project their experiences onto us, which again, I'm not a part of this anymore, but I used to be. I was deeply in it for a long time. I have another video in my description called I think it's like my toxic ritualistic past or something like that. But it's where I did a short where I kind of went through all the different Taylor Swift eras and showed my cycles through that, because it lasted that long, which is horrifying, to be honest. But anyways, the point is, I just lost my point. I went on too long. But let me see, what did she just say?
You're here to shame or to scold anyone.
Okay, first of all, that's not true. I forgot what she said right before that. But I'm sorry, I lost my point. I had a brain fart.
I think that it's a reasonable thing to want to be part of this thinness club, because society has made this the ideal place to be. We all think that thinness is where we're going to achieve self-love.
So this is a myth, again, based on the pedestalization of thinness. I think that before I was just saying not to hate your body. It's obvious. But anyways, this is a part of the pedestalization. So I'm here to tell you that I've talked to plenty of thin people, and those things don't just magically happen. I myself have lost weight, and I've had to do a lot of work outside of weight loss in my life, because this issue has left my life in shambles. It is horrible. Please get out as soon as possible. Don't do this anymore.
And careers and friendships and love.
That all comes from work on those areas. So let's bring some reality to that. But that is more of a B followed by E followed by D myth, caused by not having any experience being thin, or having forgotten in some cases.
Partners, and of course we all believe that, it's
not all, just people with a specific issue.
A long going myth of what thinness will bring to you. But I think it's more important for you to be at peace with yourself. You're a member of the Thin Club now, but remember that your membership can be...
I don't think it's a club. I think it's more so a state of being. Being thin is kind of subjective as well. I mean, a lot of these categories are subjective, but they are still real. I think sometimes when we talk about subjectivity, people just automatically throw it out. But we still live in a cultural time and place, so those things still do affect us, and they do exist. However, I wouldn't call it a club. I just call it a state of being. It's a physical state. And even within thinness, there is a spectrum. There's different kinds of thin, which again, I think a lot of people that are very big, they forget that, or they don't consider that because they're not there nor near there. I consider myself mid-sized today. I use that term because it's helpful to provide an amphibious stage between thin and fat, and it's also helpful socially because it helps to communicate where I'm at, as it is also a subjective term, but fat is also subjective. Things that are not subjective are obesity, morbid obesity, supermorbid obesity. Overweight is subjective because it depends on body composition for the most part. So these things can be kind of tricky, but again, just because something is subjective doesn't mean that it's not real, because we do live in a culture, in a time and place.
Be revoked at any moment, and it'll push you back to the end of the line where you began, and the vicious cycle continues. And this is a heavy topic.
I love that she used cycle. I'm like, okay. Yep.
But I have spoken a lot more about this in depth in an essay on my
We might have to look at that essay.
Substack, All Things That with Just a Guitar. So if you want to talk more about this and you want to get my full opinions on this topic, go check out that essay. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.
So I think that she did this mostly to promote her stuff. Again, I think it's selfish for a lot of different reasons, but always remember that toxic ritualistic reinforcement is never from a it's always selfish. It's never from a loving place. It's never coming from that. It's always about that person. And so it's really important to keep your boundaries with certain things like this, because when I was Smo, I would often use the witch hat, and bring out the witch, which the witch is here. I'm the witch. I would use the witch, that anger, that rage at this type of stuff, especially because I was dying. I was not healthy at all, and I knew I wasn't. And there's nothing worse than these people trying to tell me that I was, when it's a matter of survival. That's where the witch came from. The witch is kind of a survival. It symbolizes the survivalism of it. I don't know why I have all these characters. I'm crazy. I'm just an INFJ. So just for you guys that are MBTI fiends, I'm an INFJ and I have extroverted feelings, so I have to wear it outside. But anyways, that was cheesy. The point is, I use these characters to emphasize different aspects of the experience of my weight loss. And that is what this represents, is a survivalism. My mid-sized princess character, which if you look on my channel, you'll see when I wear my wig and stuff, that's more about like the boundaries and stuff. How would you interact with someone like her in real life, right? And just say, I don't believe that. I don't think that's true. I don't know if she'd get in a shouting match. Some people, they get really mad, but that's what I would say. It's like a very easy thing to say to someone like this. But as far as online, I think she's doing it to promote herself. It's all selfish. It's very selfish, because you would never encourage people or try to wish regain or relapse onto somebody. That is just horrible. That's horrible. It's just awful. But anyways, you guys, I will talk to you guys later. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed my low dopamine weight loss induced brain fart in this video. I know I did. I know I'm going to hate it when I rewatch this. But anyways, you guys, thank you so much. I will talk to you later. Peace. Bye.